Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Speaking of hello there, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Shatterpoint's latest big reveal, the You Cannot Run Duel Pack. We're going to talk about this in today's video because it's very interesting for a number of reasons, and I think there's a lot of opinions on a pack like this. So if you haven't heard of it, stick around. If you have heard of it, let's talk about it. We're going to talk about it in today's video because I've been meaning to talk about this one. I wanted to talk about this last week, but we had Shatterpoint core set show up, and we've been doing unboxing, we've been doing painting, we've been doing a lot of that stuff. If you guys are new here to the channel, we are giving away a Star Wars Shatterpoint core set. It comes out next month. We'll be doing the giveaway after the core set comes out, so stay tuned early next month. You have plenty of time left to enter to win. It's going to be in the form of a $165 Amazon gift card. All you have to do to enter to win that is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. I want to know your thoughts on Star Wars Shatterpoint, your thoughts on the You Cannot Run Duel Pack. I want to know your thoughts on all things Star Wars tabletop gaming. Let me know down in the comment section. Also, you can keep the discussion going. Join our Discord. We got a great family-friendly tabletop gaming Star Wars Discord. It's a great place to jump into, keep the discussion going, ask questions, share build ideas, show some of your paints, some of your painting options, or look at other people's, talk about theory and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So it's a great place to be and a great fun place to hang out. So let's talk about the You Cannot Run Duel Pack, because this, folks, this is coming out in July, so not long after the game releases. This is very, very interesting because it's just 2 characters. Now, normally, typically you are getting 4 character packs, and those are for about $50 each, like $49.99. This one's going to be $89.99, and you're only getting 2 characters in it. Now, you are getting this set piece, which is interesting. So let's get a closer look at it. You're getting like a whole diorama in one piece for here. So that's kind of where part of that cost goes. But you're getting Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Kenobi series. So if you haven't seen the Kenobi series, a little bit of a spoiler here, because look at that. It's got Obi-Wan Kenobi in it. And it's got Darth Vader in it. Oh my God, they're in there. What are you going to do? So, but yeah, they fight more than once in the series, and it kind of reminds me of like the first time they fight in the series, but I think it's more supposed to be evocative of the second time they fight. But I don't know. I want to hear, like, what do you guys think? Do you think this is like, if you've seen the Kenobi series, you think this is like the first time they fight there or the second time they fight there? I don't know. But yeah, it's also some of the pieces that you see here, like that speeder, the wrecked speeder in the background, and all this other debris and stuff like that. They say that this is stuff that you can use as terrain if you don't glue it down. They do have the bases that come out of the diorama, though, so you can use this Darth Vader, you can use this Obi-Wan Kenobi in your games of Star Wars Shatterpoint. So for $89.99, now this is more expensive than a typical Shatterpoint expansion. It's not quite as expensive as a core set, but it's significantly more expensive than a normal 4-pack minis. Now this also comes on the heels of another pack that was coming out for Star Wars Shatterpoint, and that is going to be the Jedi Hunters Squad Pack. That's the Inquisitors. And that's something that we've already seen announced, and that one's also $49.99. But this one was their May the 4th kind of surprise reveal. I don't think it was that much of a surprise because we already saw that they were doing the Inquisitors from the Kenobi series. They got to work on this stuff sort of in advance. But it definitely brings some interesting questions to mind. Now, they have been doing dual packs kind of like this for Star Wars. Well, they did it a little bit first, like they did one for like Star Wars Legion with that earlier, Vader versus Luke in the Emperor's throne room. They've been doing this for Marvel Crisis Protocol as well. They did one for the Dr. Octopus versus Spider-Man. They recently did one for Wolverine versus Sabretooth with this, on the special terrain piece. That one got a lot of people controversied up, I guess. Controverstrated, new word. I just invented that one right before your eyes. But a lot of people have mixed opinions on it because while previously it had been just like, oh, these are just alternate art versions, right? Well, at this point, it's going to be different quite a bit. But like, you got different versions of characters in some of the latest MCP ones. Initially, some people were skeptical about how this one would work because we already have Obi-Wan Kenobi in from Clone Wars, but here we've got like like a cross between Ben and Obi-Wan, right? It's like Ewan McGregor from the series. It's in between. And then we've got Darth Vader over here. We already know Darth Vader's coming with the Stormtroopers. We're getting like basically the Galactic Civil War as a whole era. We got a couple of things teased from that. But like, what era is this? Is this going to be the same Vaders? We get all of these questions were asked, and so we got some answers that these are going to be. This is going to be a dual era pack. I think the word dual faction was mentioned, but it's really dual era. In other words, implying that both Vader and Kenobi here can be used with Clone Wars era and with the Galactic Civil War era. Now, Vader, it kind of makes sense for him to be in the Galactic Civil War, but it seems a little awkward to have a suited up Vader in the Clone Wars era, although from a certain point of view, I guess 48 hours or more after the Empire was founded, Vader was in the suit, and so it's kind of like that in that Bad Batch frame where you're still kind of in Clone Wars era because you still have pretty much all clones, so you could create Vader leading clones, and that would totally work. I also said that this Kenobi, I believe, would be a secondary, which is going to give you all kinds of interesting build options, because if he can go in the Clone Wars era, which is quite surprising to me, you could have Anakin and then Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is going to be interesting. Or you could have Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi and clone troopers and do something like an alternate history where what if Anakin said, "I loved you, Anakin, you are my brother, and I'm going to join you now," and then all of a sudden, because that's actually, that was a very, Obi-Wan probably would never do that, but you could easily see that happening because he cared so much about Anakin. Like maybe if Anakin had said something slightly different, or if maybe Palpatine had gotten there just a little bit sooner and Obi-Wan was already crushed, it was like, "Oh, you're burning," and then all of a sudden Palpatine shocks him and he's like, "Now I have you both." Something crazy like that. So, couple of things about this. It's very interesting that we're getting dual faction Anakin, or I'm sorry, dual faction Vader, and our dual era Vader and dual era Kenobi. It makes more sense for Kenobi. It's a little bit of a stretch for Vader, but I see it. I totally see it. But the other thing that's more surprising about this is these are unique cards, and they've confirmed that you won't get these anywhere else. It's not like Ahsoka, where it was like the pre-order Ahsoka, the Ahsoka Apprentice that's going to be coming with Plo Koon, and if you pre-order the core set, you have a chance at getting the early version of her. No, these are unique only to this set, and you won't be able to get them anywhere else. And that has certainly got a couple of people very, very interested and very opinionated on this, because some have called this a cash grab, some have called this a paywall, assuming that these characters will be potentially better or more competitive than other characters. And that certainly may be the case. I think that was basically the case in Marvel Crisis Protocol, where the latest dual pack they did for MCP had highly competitive characters that were better than their counterparts. And so I think we're going to have to wait and see if this Vader is better than the other Vader, and if this Kenobi is better than the other Kenobi. And I don't know if they will be or not. They might not be. Or they might be. Again, it's who knows. Or they may not be even directly better or worse. They may just be have a completely different play style. I kind of have a hard time imagining that Vader would have a different play style than another Vader. It would probably be very similar. One might just have more synergy with stormtroopers, and one might work better on his own. I imagine this being a Vader that is kind of doing things on his own, and maybe later on, the proper Darth Vader will probably be somebody who has a little bit more Stormtrooper and Galactic Empire synergy. That would be my guess. And same thing with this Kenobi. I expect him to be kind of a complete loner. I don't see him giving any synergy or any keywords to any other Jedi or to any other Republic or Rebels or anything like that. I see him being somebody who's all by himself. But I do think it'd be kind of cool to be able to do Luke, especially if Luke as a primary Return of the Jedi Luke with this Kenobi like as a secondary, like putting them in the same squad sounds really cool to me. So like, you know, it's very, very interesting the possibilities of dual faction characters, especially iconic characters like Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, bring to the game and give you an awful lot of list building potential. But since it is kind of behind a $90 item, it certainly has a lot of people worried about it because I'm like, well, if I'm never going to be able to get these anywhere else, what can I do? So let's talk about what you're really getting, because you're getting these two miniatures. Again, a 4 miniature pack is usually only $50. So for this one to be $90 and have half as many miniatures in there, well, you are getting terrain, but this diorama is not a terrain piece. And I think that's one of the problems that I kind of have with it, where when I look at something like this, I'm like, well, if I'm not really into dioramas as much, like I don't mind maybe setting up a scene. Like I like to make a diorama to photograph or take some terrain and kind of set it up in a, in a light box or just on a table with my board games in the background or whatever. And I like to do photos. If you've seen my Instagram or any of my social media, again, links are all in the description below. I love to do stuff like that. But I like to do stuff like that out of terrain pieces that can also work as terrain in the game. This is something that can only ever be a diorama because it's got these hard sculpted lines. I mean, unless you wanted to like sculpt it into a part, like build a table around this and like drop it in the middle of a piece of wood and start molding clay around the edges, but like if you were going to do all that, you could just do all that. You don't have to, it just seems weird to me to get something that can only be like a shelf piece. It can only be a diorama. For me personally, my shelves get dusty. I don't have a glass case. I've just got normal bookshelves that I'll put stuff on. So I don't really want my miniatures going to be like out on a shelf on display all the time. I like to put them in a case and hopefully keep them, either like all together, so this way I can do stuff with them. I can pull them out and play, or I can take them with me if I'm going to play somewhere else. But I usually never really display miniatures like this as a diorama. I might display them as a diorama if they were duplicate miniatures with just alternate sculpts, like a lot of the con exclusives, like that Vader versus Luke, and things like that. Like you can display those because they're functionally the same, but these are both unique sculpts and unique unit cards, and also unique mechanics in that they're, dual faction. So just really, really interesting choices in here because I feel like this is going to be an expansion that I pick up and I assemble Vader and I assemble Obi-Wan and I take all the rest and I just kind of toss it. Like I don't think I'm going to do anything with the rest of this. And that seems like it's an awful waste of a $90 expansion. So, I'm curious what you guys are thinking. Is this something that you're going to do the same thing with, or how many of you out there really are looking for like a diorama piece? I feel like most of the people that I talk to that are in the Shatterpoint are more interested in just getting the Vader and the Obi-Wan, and much, much less interested in the squared off, blocky, cut out diorama piece itself. And would have rather them just sold like a smaller 2-pack without all of the terrain and just having the miniatures at a cheaper price point. But I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments section because this thing is coming out in July. I will be definitely checking it out. Again, I've got to have the Darth Vader and the Obi-Wan Kenobi, especially if they're going to be dual era. The amount of possibilities that opens up for a game that will only be like starting on its second month of its lifespan at that point is really cool. And this is well before all of the other Galactic Civil War stuff will be hitting too. So this is your first chance to get Darth Vader, or proper black costume med Darth Vader. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm very, very mixed feelings on this one, but I want to hear what you guys think. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing and help make this channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. So say we all, the spice must flow, and cowabunga.